All right, should be up and running. Coming on a little bit later, just finishing up the open house, so wanted to make sure we get through all the final bit of questions. Very interesting day in the market. All right, so we'll have a good amount to talk about on the Qs and SPY heading into Monday. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for February 11th, 2022. Q's down 1.97, or sorry, Q's down 3.17. SPY down 1.97. We had a pretty meandering day in the Q's and SPY until some news of potential Ukraine-Russia conflict came out, and then the market got sold. Now, it doesn't really have too much of an impact, whether it's inflation, interest rates, or other world news. I'm not really trying to dissect the impact and anything. I'm really just focused on what does it do to the overall market, and we're using the Qs and SPY, of course, to gauge the overall market. So, it was an interesting week because we failed on the hourly sell setup first, right here. Okay, so the hourly didn't want a downtrend. We moved up, and I said we're going to neutral, but I can't be bullish on this market until we fail on the daily sell setup. What we ended up doing is doing a double top. Okay, and as I mentioned yesterday, what happened was pretty bearish. We had a move up, and then we got sold. I'm gonna favor the more recent event in my next bias. I was coming into today still neutral, but I was anticipating if we get follow through to the reversal yesterday, then I should be bearish. Okay, we definitely got follow through and then some. So going into Monday, gonna be bearish. Okay, we could bounce up a little bit on Monday because it's a pretty decent sized wide range red bar. We could also gap down on Monday, which I think won't make for an easy environment. I think the market volatility, oftentimes we see platforms start to have some issues. Execution starts to be problematic. So, I would prefer if we didn't. I think if we get a gap up, that's fine. I will still be bearish unless we were to gap up maybe over today's bar entirely, just because of the shock value of negating today's entire red bar. But any other gap up short of taking out or gapping to today's high, I'm going to remain bearish. And then on a gap down also will be harder to say because it will be confirming on the weekly the sell setup. Okay, little retracement here. Is this going to be a lower high? In which case, if we're going into a downtrend, we should expect new lows, but we're also going to be extended likely. Okay, so will we get a bounce first, or will we just accelerate down? That is the harder scenario. So that's why I think if we gap down on Monday, it's going to be the tougher scenario to deal with overall. Okay, but I'm going into Monday bearish bias. All right, let's go over the plays from today. Very first play out of the gate for me was the ORPH. ORPH was a breakout in the morning here. All right, and as we often see, especially if you play a lot of breakouts, we got big volume right out the gate. Now, it was funny because as soon as this triggered and it was up here at the highs, someone I think was really happy about it. I don't know if they played it, but they just said, really great call, really, amazing. And I was like, yeah, but, whenever we get this big volume, we get this big bar, right? It's more of an uh-oh scenario for me. Like, I got to be careful. I got to watch. If we get an inside bar, I need to kill it under the inside bar, in which case it trails right there. Okay, it made very little. Now I could have taken some up at the top, right? But what I wanted to see was more. I wanted to see more continuation because I'm playing this as a transition, right? So I was definitely looking for more follow through on this. Okay, so it wasn't just looking for the initial pop. So didn't make that much on it. Big volume, inside bar, classic breakout failure pattern. But what's good about identifying this stuff early on is I'm not getting out at the bottom of the base here. I'm actually getting out a little bit in the money. Sometimes you're getting out break even or a little bit less, but you're not taking a stop. You're avoiding the stop. Okay? So yeah, whenever we get that, always got to be careful. Okay, so that was kind of the first play. Next play was Sammy's play. Nice breakout on the BE this morning. And he managed it really, really well. The breakout here in the morning off the 2 minute. And he actually took it the rest during lunch after it put in this reversal sign. So you can see again, sometimes we get these breakouts and then the breakouts end up reversing. But you don't need to wait until it takes out the bottom of the base depending on how it does the reversal, right? So BE, not too bad. I think it made about an R there. And then the BL was my next play as a 5 minute base breakdown here. Okay, here was the base breakdown, 20 MA catching up. Really liked the gap on the BL, clearing support. I think we did an okay job managing this. It was pretty spready, and then I think market probably helped a little bit get this thing going, but I was looking for the daily 200 as the final target, 75.50 or so. So once we broke through that, I said, let's go ahead and take it. Take the rest, whatever we got. So that was fine. I think that was okay on the BL. The big miss, and it's funny because I even mentioned it yesterday during the market wrap, that I will definitely be watching this LUMN. And I forgot to do it. I even crossed my mind this morning when I was going through the gaps to do it because the LUMN was a really, really good gap. Put in a narrow range bar yesterday. You can even go back and watch. The LUMN, I said, this should be on the carryover list. And then silly me, I didn't even have it until it was too late. So there it is. Just an opening bar, opening play, 1, 2, 3. And pretty much just closes at the lows. I mean, that was 74 by 84. So 10 cent stop. We're looking at 6 something R's. Yeah, if you played that opening 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that was a mistake on my part, to not have this on the chart. It's on the carryover list, but you got to have it on a chart if I'm going to catch it early enough. So hopefully some people did, or maybe you could have scalped it here and there later on. But the LUMN really, as far as from what I saw, was the play of the day, and it really came from the carryover list. So that's why we started to put more focus into the carryover list, because we're seeing this quite often. This was the day that it gapped, and then this day, it didn't gap. And this is, look at the move. It was even before. It's not really the market that caused this. Market may have gotten this to extend a little bit further than it would have otherwise. But I mean, this is when the market was still sideways. Look at for the morning session, right? From 9:30 to 12. The Qs and SPY weren't really selling off that hard. So there it is from 9:30 to 12. So obviously the LUMN was on its home page doing its kind of residual selling from the day before. Okay, so, and because the market came in the way it did today, we don't really have a lot for the carryover list for Monday. I already went through the list or looked for them to try to add. So unfortunately, I don't have any good starts for Monday, but it's all going to be about the market on Monday. Whether we gap up a little bit, gap down a little bit, gap down a lot, I don't know. So we'll see when we get there. Like I said, any kind of gap up below today's high, I'm going to remain bearish. And then gap down, depending on the size and the location, it's going to be hard to say whether we get a rally first or if it just accelerates on down. I think that's definitely the tougher scenario, so we'll see. All right. Thanks everyone who attended the open house as a guest. Hopefully you had a good week. I think overall the plays were pretty good. I think couple days were kind of slow, but then once things picked up, like the last 3 days, there were a lot more calls, a lot more follow through, and so it should have been pretty nice. All right, guys, we'll be back on Monday, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will talk to you on Monday.